Well, get ready for the crackdown. The U.S. is now officially known as a police state. At least that's according to Paul Craig Roberts. He's a columnist and a former Reagan administration official, and he joins me live from Panama City, Florida. Paul, thanks so much for joining me. So you've said that U.S. President Obama is continuing Bush-era policies and that the United States is essentially a police state. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, yes. We have this case of Afia Siddiqui, who is an American citizen who was kidnapped and held in the Bagram military base in Afghanistan for 5 years, secretly tortured, denied all her constitutional rights. The whole thing was totally outside all known American law. And now we've had the Dennis Blair, the head of national intelligence, announce that the United States government has a list of Americans that it will assassinate abroad. So the government has announced it's going to kill its own citizens without arrest, without trial, without conviction of a capital crime. It's just going to shoot them down somewhere. Well, these two things together are the definition of a police state. And we have a number of constitutional scholars in our most distinguished law schools who have said that these proposals not only are totally illegal under American law, but constitute war crimes under the Geneva Conventions. And what else? How else would you define a police state?
And so, I think that's really interesting, Mr. Roberts. I mean, especially because President Obama has spoken out against so many of these things, including torture. And, he's repeatedly said that he wants to close down Guantanamo Bay. So why do you think nothing has changed and he's continuing these Bush-era policies then?
That's a very good question. There's no difference so far between his administration and the Bush-Cheney regime. And so what we see is that there's been a coup, a power grab. The law means nothing to the government. It operates totally outside the law with contempt of the law. And what's most amazing is that Dennis Blair, this is not my opinion, he went to the United States Congress and told one of the most important committees, the Committee on Intelligence, that the United States government now has a list of Americans that it will murder. Well, how does this differ from Joseph Stalin?
And so, how is this all possible? How can the United States just simply disregard international law? And what should be done to stop this?
I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how Joseph Stalin was able to murder all the heroes of the Bolshevik Revolution. I don't know how Hitler was able to take over Germany and completely flush the law, but that's what's happening here. And we have these statements from these distinguished American legal scholars that this is not only completely against the Geneva Conventions and the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, which requires a due process. But if you announce you're just going to murder people, there's no due process. And so I don't know what's going on. I don't understand how this happens or why the American people are so insouciant and inattentive. They just sit and take it. I don't understand why the Congress, when they were told this, didn't order this guy's arrest. We have a criminal, the head of national intelligence, who comes to the Congress and says we're going to murder American citizens. Nothing happens.
Well, Mr. Roberts, I want to thank you so much. You're clearly very passionate about this. According to Mr. Roberts, the United States turning into a police state.